Hello, welcome to Good Games Well Played, episode 158. I'm Clint, aka JCM, with his weakest Messiah.
Hello.
And not a lot to go over this episode. We also don't have Isley, just to quickly throw that in there. He's out just like he was last week. But yeah, not too much to go over. There was like the Embracer group splitting into 3 parts. And it's like, we don't need to talk about that. It's silly stuff.
Whatever the fuck they're doing, I'm sure it's stupid and nobody cares.
Yeah, we're going to have Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends and Coffee Stain and Friends and Asmodee Group. It's like, okay, whatever.
It's still the same company.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They're weird. But yeah, I did see one of the things this week was Valve said they're closing a refund loophole they had by adding a advanced access label. So essentially what was happening is, you know how like games, like when they come out, they're like, oh, if you buy the digital deluxe edition, you can play like 3 days ahead of time. Mm-hmm. So for those kind of games, people could beforehand, they could just get that, play it for the 3 days before the official launch. And then because it's not flagged as launched in Steam, you can do the refund. So you're not hitting your 2-hour mark. So like,
oh, I see.
Yeah, like we're gonna close that loophole but it's weird because like typically the games that do that are multiplayer, right? It's like any game I've ever seen that does that, it's like primarily got a multiplayer component. Like Battlefield does that a lot. COD does that. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League did it. That's an example they used in the article I read. But that's also like a multiplayer game. I mean, you can play it solo, sure, but it's like it's a multiplayer game, so it's weird. Like I don't know any single player. I can't think of any single player games.
I was going to say Final Fantasy 14 does that, but sometimes I forget that's an MMO because I play it by myself.
That's an MMO. Yeah, yeah, it's so, but yeah, it's like, you got to close that loophole. I mean, and plus it's like, and what are you going to play? Like, how much are you going to get done in those 3 days? And then also it's like, typically the servers are, trash at, right there at launch. Unless it's only like a handful of people that get that early access. And then it's like, okay, the servers are good. And then once it officially launches, the servers are trash. Mm-hmm. But anyways.
Also, it's like, what is the point of just playing the game for 3 days and refunding it?
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is like if you were able to beat Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice, like if you did solo that game, since you can't play it solo, like if you just sped through it, maybe you could have if you like if you're someone who could no life a game.
I imagine the people who are doing this are probably no life gamers.
Yeah, this is true. Yeah, there's no one else, no like parent or anybody with like lots of responsibilities as an adult is like, I'm gonna hop on there and
or some kind of like dickhead streamer or something that's like, ha, chat, look what I'm doing.
Yeah, so there's that. And then I had an article about Bungie, but Izzy's not here to talk about it, so I'll just skip over that one. Because it was like, since he played Destiny 2 a lot, it's like, okay, this will kind of fit with him since he's played it more, but we don't need to talk about it here.
He's the one that has the beef with Bungie.
Yeah. But then the last thing I saw is that, so the Fallout Next Gen update came out this week, and it, of course, broke a bunch of crucial mods in Nexus mods. There are some workarounds, apparently, but yeah, they're currently working on patches. Yeah, because when I was like, you know what, I'll go ahead, and the other issue too is like you can't download it. So if you have Fallout 4 on like PlayStation through the Essentials, where there was like that when the PS5 launched, it had like all the games you can play if you're a PlayStation Plus member on PS5 for free. One of them was like was Fallout. But if you redeemed it via that method, it didn't give you the option to upgrade to the PS5 version. And it's also still part of PlayStation Extra, so I think the same thing applies there. So like, because I have Fallout 4, but I have on a disc, and I'm not going to go dig out the disc. I was like, I want to see like how it runs and whatnot on console, but I can't download the PS5 version yet. They're working on fixing that. But I did boot it up on PC. I took out all the mods just to see if it looked any better than what I was doing previously. It's like, yeah, I can't tell if it's running any better. Any crazy changes, considering you'll probably notice that stuff more on console, but yeah,
it's
there's
still an old game, so unless they do some kind of like crazy overhaul to it, I feel like it's not really going to. I mean, you can up the textures all you want, but the models are still going to be that era.
Yeah, but I do like texture detail in those models. I feel like is nice. Like I was watching a comparison video showing like the difference between PS4 Pro and then performance mode and quality mode on PS5, and like seeing the textures on like trees and cars and certain objects, like it's like, yeah, it you don't have those like blurry, 720p textures. I'm like, that to me, like along with the frame rate at 60, I feel like is nice. Like I like that kind of stuff. Like fix up those textures. Yeah, it's not like the models themselves are going to get extra polygons or anything or triangles. It's like, that's fine. Give me those extra textures. Maybe increase the draw distance so I don't have as much pop in. Like that's nice. But maybe better shadow quality, stuff like that. So it's all in the details, which is like what a lot of current gen stuff is nowadays. We're like, oh, there's no real like next gen only thing. I'm like, well, yeah, we're at that point where it's like, unless someone makes like a photorealistic game, the benefits you're going to get by playing something on PS5 or Series X versus last gen is just better quality of all the other stuff.
It's better like overall polish while not sacrificing performance and stuff like that.
Exactly. It's being able to play on like high to ultra settings on a PC if you have a new graphics card versus just playing on, medium. And it's like
me.
But I'm like that stuff can make like a big difference, especially if a game has like global illumination or any sort of ray trace shadows or any other kind of ray tracing. It's like that stuff visually can make a big difference. But anyways, that's a different topic altogether. But yeah, other than that, not a whole lot of other news. I was trying to see, like, double check this morning, like, oh, hey, did anything else happen that was pretty decent? And it's like, no, a lot of sales going on for like PC stuff. I feel like all the time, rumors of Switch 2, stuff like that. But yeah, it's like just not a whole lot of other game stuff. I know that there was like an interview with Shinji Mikami. That you can read. There's nothing there necessarily. There's a standout that I wanted to read. Oh, I did hear the story about, I think it was a Donald Mustard talking about it, how Samus was almost in Fortnite. Back when they had like the God of War, they had Kratos and Master Chief, and they were working with Nintendo to get Samus in there. But like at one point, I guess Nintendo was like, oh yeah, and they'll only be available on Nintendo consoles. And he's like, no, that's not how it works. like if you buy the skin, you could use it on any console. And so they're like, oh no. And it was like basically at the last minute, so they just didn't allow the use. Like
Nintendo is so frustrating. Like, how do you even do that? Like, it's just like a default skin for everybody else unless you're playing on Switch. Like, who the fuck is playing Fortnite on Switch?
Or like you could see it, like if you're a PS5 or Xbox player, you just can't buy the skin or you can't equip the skin unless you're playing specifically on Nintendo Switch. It's like, that'd be so silly. But yeah,
it was so fucking frustrating with stuff like that. It's like, I don't know, what were you even thinking?
Yeah, like I don't know how you didn't realize this was going to be the case at the start. Like,
yeah,
how did you get that far in negotiations, and then realize like, oh no. It's just going to be on our platform. But yeah, silly little stuff like that. But yeah, not too much other news. I know there's like drama with Escape from Tarkov. I won't get into that because I never play it, but like just big drama there. And it is funny. Like it's it basically comes down to like a $250 edition. There's like a game mode that's kind of locked behind this extra thing. It's supposed to be free, and the edition comes with like a bunch of pay to win kind of stuff, and the community's like up in arms about it. And then like some developers were making fun of it, like even like the Helldivers devs were making fun of it on Twitter with their own like fake in-universe $250 package. It was pretty funny, but we don't have to get into all the details there. But yeah, there's that going on. I know BlizzCon got canceled for this year. I'm curious if that'll be reevaluated by Microsoft to be like, hey, how beneficial is this? Are they making? I'm curious if it's a money loss kind of an event, but yeah, no BlizzCon. But yeah, other than that, again, not too much news. It's a pretty light week.
I've been secluded from social media this week, so all of that was news to me.
Yeah, I know. Sandland came out, I believe.
Yes.
It got some, okay reviews. So did Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade was a new release that came out. It's got like apparently good gameplay, mass story,
which was, I feel, expected.
Yeah,
I don't know, I kind of expected that, so I felt like that was just kind of the general consensus. Like it was just going to be an okay story, but it was going to be like visually and gameplay fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched the review for it and like, yeah, it sounds interesting. I'm like, I was talking to my cousin was like, "Oh, you're gonna get Starblade?" I was like, "No, I'm not gonna get Starblade." But it has like the combat I like, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to deal with all that other nonsense. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if nothing else interests me about the world, I don't know if I want to play it just because the combat seems fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna. I won't pick up that. Maybe like if some point down the line it's like part of PlayStation Plus, I'll add it to the library. No idea if I'll ever play it but we'll see.
I guess it would be a different thing if like the story itself is just kind of meh, but like the world is interesting and the characters are interesting. And it's just like you don't really care about the overall arcing thing. I mean, I've played games like that before where the overall arcing story is just like very whatever, very generic, but the world is interesting and the characters, you kind of like the characters and you're just like, okay, well, I know what's going to happen. I know this is how this is going to end, but I'm having fun along the way.
Yeah, and it's like I've heard seen that story too much. Like it seems very near as well. Like, oh, this is Earth. It's way in the future after something happened. You go back down. You got to figure out what happened. Like I feel like that's pretty common.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, yeah, I don't need that story again. But unless it's something like like Biomutant seemed interesting because like okay, it's that same kind of thing where society fell, but then the animals kind of came up and humans are gone. So it's like there could be some interesting like Horizon Zero Dawn kind of situation there with the story you could do where it's like we have these new societies that came up. You can find out what happened to the old world and yada yada. But like unfortunately that game, like the combat, that was a situation where like the story's good, okay, but the combat just wasn't quite exactly there because I was interested in that game before it launched, and then I was like, man, it's like it's unfortunate that it doesn't look quite as good as I was hoping it would be. But
It's not involved or like compelling enough to hold your attention through just kind of a meh story.
yeah. And then another Crab's Treasure is a game that came out too. It's like a Souls-like kind of cartoony style. I forget who made it. Aggro Crab is the developer.
I really want to play that.
Yeah, I was watching Northern Lion play it, and I was like, okay, so I like the idea of like you know, the junk that's in the ocean. You can use that some of that as like your shell, and then that's your blocking mechanic. And then if you block, the shell, quote unquote shell, absorbs the damage, but eventually it can break. So you have to get another shell. I'm like, that seems kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know if like I'll probably watch him play it. I don't know if I'll actually play it, but he put out at least one video.
It seems like a good, like, I want to say there's like the difference between roguelike and roguelite. It seems like a Souls light, where it's like a teeny bit more forgiving. And you get all kinds of like assist kind of things that you can equip, but there's also like accessibility options that make the game easier.
Yeah.
So it's just very cute. I like when he puts the little sushi on his back and he rolls around in it. That's why I want to play it.
The Sekiro grab with like the grappling, the way he grapples feels very Sekiro.
Yeah.
Also, like he's like can't be bothered. He's like, I just want my shell back.
Yeah, it's just like you get to I was watching Barry play it, and he gets to the town, and he's like, "Okay, that's really nice that everything's going on here, but have you seen my shell? I kind of just want it back." It's like, oh, I want to help this little man.
Yeah, and the lone shark. That's just the shark stick toy. It's pretty funny, but and I like how it's like you collect microplastics, and
that's the
instead
currency.
of that, yeah, it's like, and that's your souls, so you're that you can level up with. But yes,
it's very very cute. I might get it for Switch. It seems like a cute little like play this for a little bit kind of game.
Yeah,
I wonder if it runs well. It probably does.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's only like what 20. I know it's like $27 on Steam. Probably similar on a Nintendo. Let's see.
Fairly short too for a game like that. So
yeah, and then that's pretty much it. All right, so we can go ahead and jump into what we've been playing. Have you just been hopping into? I saw you in 14 a bit. Have you just been doing your dailies and whatnot?
Yeah, basically the same thing I was doing last week. Just playing 14 a little bit, playing a little bit of Honkai Star Rail because they're.
Oh yeah, I saw you on that.
Yeah, they're coming out with a new update, a new big update soon. So I haven't really been doing the main story stuff. I was doing a lot of like side content and events and stuff like that, mostly just kind of hopping on a little bit every day as I do, just kind of doing grind and stuff like that. I They did come out with a new banner, and I was like, okay, I don't super care about these two characters. I kind of want to save for the next one, but I was like, whatever, I'll just pull for it. Got the new 5-star character from that, and then they ended up giving out a bunch of jades recently because it's the 1-year anniversary of the launch. So I had enough to pull for the light cone too, and I got his light cone as well. So I got the 5-star character and the 5-star cone for that character, and I was like, oh, good. My next 10 banners are completely ruined because I have managed to pull these two things in the first try. So, oh well, I hope the next character is not something that I really, really want.
That's funny.
But that's basically all I've been doing. I haven't really decided on what I want to play next. Usually after when I get home from work, I've been getting into like watercolor painting and stuff like that. So usually what I do when I come home from work is I just sit at my desk and do that and watch VODs of streams. So I haven't really been playing very much myself other than playing Star Rail at work when I'm supposed to be doing things, but it's fine. I mean, it has auto battle. I just put on auto battle and set my phone aside. I'm still working, I promise.
There you go.
But that's basically what I'm doing.
Did you ever play Horizon 11, or are you just not interested in going back and playing 11 again?
I keep thinking about it, but I never like go and actually look into it or download it or anything. And I feel like the only reason I would want to do that is just so I can run around the areas again.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't, because if I'm gonna play, I would rather just get on like the official server again and like maybe get on my old character, but maybe start like a new character and go through the new trust system and stuff like that. But for like a private server kind of thing, I would kind of just want to like get a maxed out character and walk around.
Yeah,
places.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, just get like a high level character and just run around the old zones, hear the music, kill a couple gobbies or something like that.
Yeah, just like stand in the tree and kill things by myself. Be like, remember when this was awful?
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Especially like if you could access like Sky and just go up there and run around and even go to sea or something like that. Like get to all the zones without needing all the
I would
stuff.
Probably have to look and see. I'm sure. I mean, I know people who still play the official game, but I bet I know people who are playing Horizon. So I'd have to like reach out and see if anybody's playing it, because it would be pretty fun to like, because it's pre-Abyssy, right? It doesn't have Abyssy in it, so it's like Rise of Zilert and stuff like that. Chains of Pantheon.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how far they go with it, but
yeah, it'd be fun to play like pre-Abyssy 11 again, but
yeah, I got one buddy who from FF11 used to play it back in the day who does play that, and my cousin did a little bit of it, but I like he's on it right now. That's why I was I sparked the question, because like, oh, Zai's I don't think Zai's ever played the Horizon 11. But. No,
and I remember following its like development really closely when it kind of first got announced and they were first working on it, but I just never like, I don't know, I just never followed up with it and got on it or whatever, because it's like I know this is going to be what I am exclusively doing for the next month. Yeah,
I don't know if I'll ever get there, but just some like if it was easy to do, it's kind of like I was like I want to play Fallout New Vegas because I'm like, okay, for ahead of season 2 of Fallout, I was like, I should play New Vegas because I never played it back in the day. I tried playing it on PlayStation Now, but it's like, of course, it's a fucking PS3 game, so it's total trash looking. And I'm like, well, I could play on PC, and probably vanilla would look fine, but I think like you need to at least run some like bug fixing mods, because it just doesn't run too well on current hardware, which is so annoying when I think about wanting to go back and play some old games. So I'm like, okay, how much would I need to do? And it's like, there's so much more involved in modding that and Fallout 3 versus just like a simple Nexus mod. Like, yeah, you do have Nexus mods. It's like, oh, you need to download this thing, go into the file, paste it into this file, like all these extra steps. I'm like, luckily they lay it all out, but I'm like, okay, that's great. I can do all that. But then like, I tried to find a list of like, okay, what's a great comprehensive list of like, here's all the visual mods, and here's like some tweaks to make the gunplay better because it's on that old engine where it's like kind of meh. So I'm like, but I'm like, man, I just need a nice little list. Like I saw someone play like it was like an hour. I didn't watch the whole hour, but it was like a shit ton of mods in Fallout 4 that were like insane. And I was like, this does not look like Fallout 4. And like at one point, like one of the companions was just Leon Kennedy. The zombies were making clicker noises, and it was just like, it was so crazy looking. But it was just like that's too many mods. I wouldn't want to do all that, but I would like to at least play as close to vanilla, just improved, system wise, to make it not be total trash to get through there and have to give it a go. But
like primarily just quality of life updates and stuff like that.
Yeah, just make sure it runs at 60, maybe make it look slightly better, because people always have like, I got like a 2K or 4K texture pack and yada yada, or a mod that makes the roads look more like roads or something like that, or like the wasteland a little less empty and add some like just dilapidated buildings to add a little more flavor, because having just a wide open place you have to walk through can be kind of obnoxious. But
yeah,
I did see, and I forgot to talk about it because I didn't see it as an article, but like Sony has a patent for like an autoplay feature, where like basically like you can turn it on, and like they market it as, the article marketed it as an AI plays it for you. But I'm like, it's like, but AI is such a broad term that it gets so, I'm so annoyed when I see it sometimes. Like if we're not talking about art, it's like everything else is like, okay, there's such a broad spectrum for the way quote unquote AI and machine learning is used versus just like taking stuff over. But anyway, it's a cool idea, because essentially it's an accessibility option. So it's like, hey, I'm having trouble doing this, and instead of like just turning it down to easy or something and doing it, it's like you could just do it and it'll like get you through a tough section automatically. And I was like, obviously it has to be, they patent it, and then the game devs would have to put it in their game. But it's like, that's a really cool option. If you could put that into games, especially for like younger gamers, or if there's like a particularly tricky section of any other game for other folks, like it's just a nice little feature. Who knows if they'll actually do it, but I was like, it seemed like a pretty smart idea. Of course, a lot of people were like, you have like those dumb comments, or people just don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But I was like, yeah, go ahead and add more accessibility. I mean, it seems Sony seems to be the ones doing the most accessibility stuff in their games, especially with Insomniac. It's like, yeah, having a feature that can allow like the game to just play itself to help you get through something that's tough, especially like if it's like a boss battle or something that's even difficult on like easy mode. It's like, yeah, might as well. So we'll see what they do with that. But I thought that was interesting. Yeah, we played Escape Room. Played some of those. That was fun, you and I, and then with Michael the other day, and that was fun. I like those little one-off rooms are pretty fun. That I like that Among Us DLC that we did. That was fun.
Mugus.
Yeah, going through that was a pretty big area. I had fun doing that. I think I gave like a whole hour on it, but that was fun playing.
Robot, I want him back in my life.
Yeah, give him the commands. But
yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, that was fun. And then we also did. Well, the other ones we did were the last two of those like mansion seance levels.
Yeah,
there's not too much to speak about there, but yeah, the one-off was fun. Looking forward to doing some more of those. Yeah, and then we played Content Warning. That was fun for the bit we played. Man, the
spooky
resolution of those video files, like I'm like, okay, it makes sense they would be small, but like I went and watched them. It's like clearly it's like a 720, maybe even 480p video, because when you're in game, even though my resolution was at 4K, it's like it's playing on a little TV in half the TV size. So clearly if it's 480 or 720, it looks fine in that video. But like watching it on my monitor, I'm like, this is some blurry shit. Like, it's a shame they don't have an option to, like, I don't know, custom export. Like, okay, if I'm going to save it, like, save or like turn an option on towards like, do you want the footage to capture be saved at? But then it has to be like, okay, you have to also have a capture feature in. I mean, they already clearly have one if they're capturing it, but it's like have an option to up that resolution and just know that, hey, it's going to take more. Like when you. It's like just like you do with capture cards. It's like, oh, you want to increase your quality? Okay, well, every bitrate chunk you go up, it's going to increase the amount of gig or data, like 1 minute of footage is going to take up on your hard drive. And it tells you that. So, but it'd be nice because I'd love to have like a higher resolution of it. Because it's not like I could just be like, oh, I'll run OBS, because it's from the camera's perspective, which is what it's capturing. So it's like, that's the downside. See, that's where like an AI upscaler would be great. Like, okay, now just upscale my footage and get rid of some of that stuff. That could be good, because those are, I mean, depending on what movies they use them on, those could be pretty trash, but sometimes they can be good.
It's definitely like, I kind of like how crunchy it is, because it adds to the like wobbliness, kind of the chaotic nature of it, but but also it might be a little bit too crunchy.
Yeah.
It plays well in a Discord window, but
yeah, not well on when I make it full screen. I'm like, okay, I just won't. Even then, I'm like, oh, but yeah, that was fun. I it's funny because when I first saw it, I thought the way it worked was it used like, it's like there's this I forget the name of the software, but there's like some again, use the term AI, but there's like this quote AI editing software you can get that if you run it while you're playing, like I forget who. I see ads all the time on Senpai Gaming, I think, because I see their I watch his like video on tech review for content creator stuff, and he'll often advertise. I forget what it's called, but anyways, essentially what it does is like it, you run your capture or whatever you have, and it'll know like when you do something interesting in a gaming session, and will essentially cut that content and kind of make like a highlight reel for you. And I'm like, it seems very basic. It's like, obviously if I'm playing Overwatch and I get a headshot, like there's multiple UI indicators that pop up that say what it is. Same for Modern Warfare. Like, so it's like, clearly it's like, okay, there's a lot happening on the screen. Here's an indicator that you killed someone. It's like, if it detects that stuff, then it's like, okay, capture 10 seconds before, 10 seconds after. Very basic. I'm sure that's exactly how it works. And I thought that's like how it worked in content warning at first, until I realized like when I actually had the camera, I was like, oh, it's just taking whatever you record. I thought it was like just taking like, for some reason in my head, I thought everybody had a camera. Like we all had like GoPros. And it was just like, it used, quote unquote, that kind of like, okay, if there's a spike in audio, clearly something scary happened. Cut like right before and then after that, and if there's like a monster on screen, like, okay, flags that has like, recognize the monster, capture that footage. Then I'm like, oh, okay, it's just taking what not that it makes it any less fun, it's just it was different than what I was thinking it was going to be.
Yeah, like you have to manually record it and keep track of it. I think it works a little bit better like that, I think, because it gives the camera a limited resource, kind of like the flashlights and the oxygen and stuff, where it's like you have to manage that
right
as like a battery, but it's like the amount of film or whatever. But you do end up recording like in the middle of chaos rather than like recording the chaos happening.
Yeah, and unless you get lucky, like when I captured you getting picked up by the grabber thingy, it's like, oh, I'll just, I was already filming this, you saw something, I'll see what you saw to capture it, and then you get caught. But yeah, and then it kind of like it makes you have to plan better for getting footage to make sure you get those likes or those views, versus just like, walking in and holding down capture or pressing capture the whole time and like, okay, you didn't really get anything. But I'm curious how the randomization works. Yeah, that first level we went into, there was like no one.
There was nothing in there
until the very end, and then we died of asphyxiation because we ran out of oxygen, which was funny. But it's like, and that jump from the 3,000 views to like 39,000, whatever. I was like, good Jesus, man, it's such a huge jump in view requirement. I guess maybe we could. I guess that's the other thing too. It comes down to learning the mechanics of like, okay, how much footage, like for every second in frame a creature is, that clearly has to equal a certain amount of views. And then if you're in frame with that creature, is it like a 2x or something? And then like I'm curious what the like what's the math behind the scenes? Because if I knew that, then you can like kind of min-max your runs. You're like, okay, like that one where it's like we had the ROM in it. It's like, okay, we hardly got any footage because we left so quick. But it's like if I had stayed and just tried to film, like could I have gotten enough if I just filmed the thing like running around? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
like I'm curious how that works. Because yeah, it was like I was like, man, there's no way we're gonna get 39,000 views. And I wonder if too, if like, is it easier with more people because then you have like, you know, more quote unquote personalities in the video versus
It
just
also
two.
counts things like, you know, the little stuff that you find on the floor, like the bones and the weird little,
Yeah,
I don't know, Furby thing that I found. And
yeah, because
it
they
also
comment
counts
on
like
it.
people falling over and dying and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it's like all these little things add
and
up to it.
you talking as well, because like the comments would be like, oh, you're so eloquent, you know, Honeyblade's so eloquent, and then it's like, oh, is that a rib cage? And then yeah, they like comments. So it's like clearly there's triggers for what people can comment on, or like when you fell down, it's like they comments on that. So it's like clearly there's actions you can do that can prompt quote unquote, you know, comments from the viewers versus just film. But I'm surprised like just filming like when I filmed the well, like that's not a trigger. Like, oh, hey, there's like a spooky well. Kind of wish I jumped down it, but then we got like attacked like almost immediately.
Yeah.
But yeah, that could be a fun game if we had some extra people to play. I'm curious. I bet Isley could probably run it on his computer, but yeah, that was fun. And then yeah, I haven't been playing too much of. Didn't play any Shadow of War this week. I played a little bit more of FF. I was like, okay, let's see how much more I can get through this Costa del Sol section. And it was like, I was having this problem where I was like, when I was on the boat, I had to finish up the boat after the tournament. And it's like, okay, let's go to bed. And it's like, oh, we're under attack. And I'm like, okay, let me see if I can change my party. And I couldn't change. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's because you're unable to change right now because it's going to split us up. It's like, okay, I'm on the front deck. I fight with these two, and then I leave them, and then I, you know, Aerith and Red, and I go and I meet up with Tifa, and I'm fighting with Barrett, and yada yada. I'm like, okay, we do the Genova fight. I'm like, all right, it's must be, you know, just split this way on purpose. And then when I got out, I was like, man, how do I change my party? And I kept going, I'm like, well, let me change my party. Well, let me change my party. And I was like, what the? It's like, all right, maybe I'm just locked in because I'm in Costa del Sol and there's no fighting. And then I was just so annoyed trying to figure it out. And then I realized later, it's like I had to go under freaking. Not the party menu. I had to go under like equipment or whatever, or some other
party menu and combat settings.
Yeah, combat settings. I'm like, what the fuck? Why is the party not under the party? Like, why can't I just do my party configuration in the party menu? It's like that's how you do it in the last game, right? Like in the original game, you just go down to party. And then like hop people in and out, move if you want front row, back row. Like come on, man. Like I was so mad because I was like, how the fuck do I change my people? But
you're just stuck with like one party for way too long. You're like, I guess I just don't get to change my party.
Yeah, because I was like, I gotta change this up because I don't like this composition I got. But yeah, then I just ran around. And it's like, all right, you gotta drive on this freaking scooter for 4,000 meters or whatever. I'm like. I guess we'll just go in a circle.
Daytona.
And it's just like, come on. And then I got that. And then I did Rocket League with Red. And I didn't realize that was like a four player free for all. Like, cause I only saw the Corels across the way. So I was only fighting them and like some little dog comes out of nowhere. I'm like, oh, is this little dog on my team? And then it's like, oh no, there's like a left side and there's a Chocobo side. And I was like, I mean, we won, but I was like, I didn't even realize there was two other teams that were playing. Like I saw the 4 teams on the list, but I thought like they were doing like it was a tournament, like they're doing their own match, not like there's 4 teams in the arena. But yeah, I did that, won that, and then it was just like did the card puzzles that you had to do to get the thing, and then did the shooting gallery, and then I was like, all right, I'll go to the beach, and that's when it switches you over to Tifa and Aerith and Red did everything, and I was like, all right, I can't. There's just too much stuff it's making me do in Costa del Sol.
It makes you do all the mini games.
It's so annoying because it's like it's not optional. Like the extra stuff is, and some of it is like, but you had to get like, oh, you need your bathing suit. Let's go to this bit. It's like it's just like, man, you're forcing too much on me, and it's really kind of annoying. And so like I was not interested anymore. I was like, get me out of here. I was like, I can't deal with this right now.
It's the beach episode. It's just filler.
Yeah, but Hojo's not there hanging out with the chicks like it was in the OG one. He's just back at his lab like, hey, don't get killed on the boat. Ha ha ha. And if you do, send me your sample. But it's like, okay. Hojo looks like an old ass Alucard. Like if Alucard could age in Helsing. like that's kind of looks that way. But yeah, that whole party thing annoyed the shit out of me. I'll probably maybe go back at some point and try to play some more. I want to get out of Costa del Sol. I do like that idea of the monsters like fusing with the people in robes, because they got like, obviously Genova cells in them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, that's cool. I like that little bit, because they don't do anything in the original game. They just walk around saying reunion. So I'm
it gives them like a little bit more depth. Like, oh, these weird things that you're fighting, it's actually this weird creation formed with this other degrading creation. So there you go.
Yeah, that's fun. But yeah, and then tried a little bit of the Fallout update on PC. I had this issue where like I was playing it and I'm like, okay, I can't install the mod where it makes you skip the intro because the mods are broken. I didn't want to look up like the workaround, be it like, oh, just roll back the update or something. And I was like, I don't want to deal with this. I'll just play it vanilla with the bonus stuff and see how it goes. And like it kept just crashing to desktop at certain points. And I was like, what the fuck has happened? Like as soon as like the part where I have to like run out to get to the bunker in the opening. And I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. And it turns out like I looked it up and was like, crash the desktop, Fallout 4. And I'm like, oh, it's not even blue screen, it's just crashing. Then there's a comment that was like, it's like coming a couple years ago. It's like, oh, if you have a weapon debris on, turn it off. And it's like, because I went into settings and like turn on like all the settings to max. And there's one for weapon debris, and I had it on high. And even though I don't have a gun in the opening, but I guess because the soldiers that are telling you to get to the vault they have guns, it's like that just crashes your game. I'm like, why the fuck do you have a setting that just crashes the game? And then so then I turned that off, and then it worked, and then I did the intro, and I got outside, yada yada. I'm like, okay, whatever. Fought the Deathclaw in the little town, and then I was like, all right, I guess I'll stop there. But
okay, I've had enough.
Yeah, it's like every time like I want to play it, but like every time cause that's twice now I've retried the opening. Even once when I just like gave myself max stats and unlocked all the skills. Mm-hmm. I was like, just to have like an OP run that I thought would be fun. I don't know, just like when I play it, I'm like, man, I know where this is going. Even though I have fun, I'm just not feeling it. That's why I want to play New Vegas. I'm like, at least I've never played that one. So if I play that one not vanilla, but like with no, just straight up, like do a build, unlock the perks I want, yada, yada, I'm fine, because I don't know where the story goes, and everything's going to be new to me. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't mind replaying 3, because I only played 3 once. Back in the day, I played like the DLC and whatnot, but I only played it one time. And there's a mod to make them like 3 and New Vegas seamless experience. So I don't know if it's like you go to Vegas from 3, or when you beat 3, you can go to Vegas. I don't know what that means, but it's like they said seamless. I think there's like some mods that make the gunplay better in both. I think it's like Across the Wastelands, the mod's called. So I'm like, I could do that, I suppose, like replay that. I watched Shroud. Shroud was playing Fallout 3 with a bunch of mods on it. But they're more like survival mods and stuff. Not too many visual mods, it didn't seem. I mean, maybe they were there. Just, again, still looks like the game, just with 4K textures. Mm-hmm. But I was like, yeah, I guess I could replay 3, but I think playing New Vegas would be more interesting. But yeah, and then, let's see, what else? Mobile games, there's some mobile games on my phone I've been playing. Like just some simple puzzle games. There's one that's called like Twisted Tangle. I saw like an ad for it, and I was like, this actually looks like a fun ad. I forget where I saw the ad. It must have been on like social media somewhere. But it's like essentially there's all these little like ropes, and you have to move the ends of them in these little like the pegs on the ends to different spots, like untangle the ropes and yada yada.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I'm like, this seems like it's fun. The problem I have is that the ropes themselves between the two ends have physics. So sometimes it's like I'm tangled up, but I know I can't fully untangle easily. But if I like grab one of the ends and like put it in a spot quickly, the physics will like make the rope shake and then go underneath another rope. So it's like, which isn't really like quote unquote solving it, but like it's a solution. And like sometimes I run into issues like that where like I get through like 90% of it, and the last bit it's like these two ropes that are tangled in such a way that like if I just one gets wiggled, it beats it. And I'm like, that's kind of annoying. And then there's another game that I was playing. It was like a word game I saw an ad for when I was playing Tangled, where it's like, oh, you know, it gives you like 4 letters and you make as many words as you can with those 4 letters. And the original one I had was like, it was more like in the shape of a crossword. So like the words had to fit together. So even if you make like 10 words with the letters, you only need like 6. And then for every extra word you get, it adds it into like a little bonus bug. You get like bonus points for it. And that was fun for a bit. But the problem was like it had like this built-in other meta game where it's like, oh, you can hatch an animal and then you can feed the animal. Like all these other, I'm like, just make it a word game, man. Like, why do you have to put all this other bullshit in it? It's not an idle game. Like you actively have to play it. But then it was like, I got to the point where I got far enough where like after every, and I get this with Tangled as well sometimes, where it's like after every one round I do, it play an ad and the ads take so long. And I'm like, if you play like every 5 games, I'd be fine. But like every game, so I deleted it and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And then I saw an ad for another version of that game called Zenword. And that one's a little different where it's not a crossword. It's just like, here's, 6 words you got to find. They don't have to interlink. So that way you can find more. And I'm playing that one. So far, that one's not too bad ad wise, but I was just these mobile games, man. They're like, either they got metagame bullshit in them or they got just like ads every round. And I'm like,
it's like everything you do, it plays an ad after every single thing you do. Or in order to unlock like more than 3 levels, you have to watch an ad every time.
Yeah, it's like, come on. It's like, I don't know what's going on.
That's just how they make money, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. There used to be this one I play. I don't play it anymore. It was like, it had like, you can unlock like some bonus abilities by playing this other random fucking game. And it was like within the game. And I did that for a bit and it was like, this is so fucking weird. I was like, I don't know what's going on here. But anyways, getting off that, I saw that I watched Northern Lion and Dan Gaisling, they were playing Elden Ring, and I guess there's some like 3 megabit mod for Elden Ring on PC to allow like co-op at all times. So they were playing co-op Elden Ring, and I was like, I was like, that's crazy. Just like, and it's not like perfect because there are like bits where like someone at one point early on they died to like the tree sentinel, and it'll spawn down below the elevator that takes you up to Limgrave, but he couldn't trigger the button, but because technically the elevator was up top at Dan's area. So like Dan sent it back down. So it's like just oddities like that, or like how Dan would quickly respawn and get back into like a boss fight real quick. And I would have to wait a bit to get back there. But it was just crazy. Like just this tiny little mod just makes it like, and I guess I'm curious if like, it seemed as though it also got rid of the fog gates that they put up to like limit you to an area.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because it didn't seem like, I'm like, oh, if they get rid of that, that means you also can't get invaded. So it almost seems like a co-op mode where there's no invasions and no limits. I was like, that's pretty cool. That'd be fun. Like if I replayed it, that'd be a cool mod to like just put in and be able to play that way. Because then you can technically just run off wherever you want and not worry about invasions. But I
don't know if that's, I mean, I imagine it's probably the same mod that was out a while ago. I remember watching a couple people play a multiplayer mod like that where it was just like you are just multiplayer and you don't have to worry about like where you're going or anything like that. And it was like if the non-host dies, they can like spectate the host or something like that. And then
that was cool too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's the same mod. Yeah.
And even if the host dies, it doesn't end the fight. Like once when your host dies in the base game, it's like, okay, well your boss battle's over. The host lost.
Yeah.
This like even if the host dies, the other person can still keep going.
It treats it more as like both people are the host, so you can't really like rejoin the fight, but it doesn't automatically end it. You can still keep playing.
Yeah, I'm curious how the revive would work there. Like after if you beat the boss and the other person died, like if you rest at the site of grace, does that respawn them? I'm curious how that works. But
the site of grace is like, so if one person dies, trying to remember, if one person dies and they're like spectating or whatever, if the other alive person goes to a site of grace and rests, that respawns the other person.
Okay. Is it limited to just 2 people or can you do 3?
That I don't know.
And that'd be cool. I would love to like, not that Isley could play on PC, but like if I don't know if I'll do it, but it'd be kind of fun to do like a 3, because like that I just think about that one time like we played 3-player. That was fun. And then I played 3-player with like my cousin and Isley. That was fun. And of course we had to deal with the invasions and whatnot, but to not have to worry about people with like bullshit builds. that are just, cheap as shit. It'd be fun to play that game like co-op, but like through the entire thing and not have to worry about, all right, let's resummon you and have you beat the boss and yada yada.
Like an actual full co-op mode rather than like the janky from soft multiplayer kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Just like full on. That'd be really fun. But yeah, I watched them do it. They did it for like a couple hours. That was fun. And yeah, I've still got the itch to play like Lies of P, but I'm like, I kind of want a Souls game, and I feel like that could be fun. But I threw it on my wish list, and I'm watching on PlayStation, so I get like notifications like, yo, it's on sale, and I could pick it up and give it a shot. But yeah, other than that, like not really feeling much. Like it's nice to have like, because I have so many games, it's kind of like, okay, just play whatever I'm feeling. So it's like, all right, maybe I'll play a little bit of this game, try that game, yada yada. But I mean, there are games that I really want to play. I want to be able to dedicate more time to them.
Yeah.
In a single that first session, like I really like Viewfinder is short, so I could play it really quick. But I want to play like the Thaumaturge, but I want to be able to dedicate like more time to that. And then I'd love to play some more Shadow War, but I want to be able to play like at least a couple hours at a time. I just have to actually get in there early during the evenings. But I'm having fun playing like Content Warning and Escape Room. Those are fun, and there's still a lot of content in those. So at least if we have time to play those together, those are fun. But yeah, as far as single player stuff, it's like, all right, kind of just play whatever I'm feeling.
I'm stuck in that rut of like, I have 3 games on Switch that I've bought recently that I really wanted to play, but it's just like I'm not in the mood to start a new game, I guess, is like a way to put it. So it's just like I keep just playing the same things that I'm already playing, and I don't know. It's just nothing is like biting. Yeah, I'm in like a holding pattern until Dawn Trail comes out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many I watched Doc play Rainbow Six Siege, and I'm like, damn it. It's like, that's a game like I would love to go back to if I had 2 other people. That way I don't have to worry about vote kicking. But like, that's like a game I just think I had so many fun memories playing that. And like, I'd love to play, like, I don't think Isley ever played, oh my God, Dying Light 2. So it's like, I'd love to play that co-op with Isley, but he's busy. And then it's like, there's so many other games. Like, I think a bunch of Far Cry games are on sale. It's like, oh man, we play like Far Cry 6 co-op. That would be fun. Just run around. Like, and then I still want to play Sons of the Forest. So I'm like, I'm trying to wait for that to come out, either for Isley to get a PC, or B, for it to release on console. Cause like, I really want to play that, but I want to play it co-op. And then,
is it still in early access or whatever?
No, 1.0 came out in I want to say February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's end of February is when 1.0 came out. So I'm just sitting here and like, I keep seeing, I'm like, I almost played it the other day, but I was like, no, I want to make everything fresh when I play it co-op and whatnot. But yeah, there's just so many co-op. Like, I want to play like Jackbox. That'd be fun. There's a couple Jackbox games I want to play, but like, you need enough people. Yeah, I'd love to play co-op and some stuff. It's just finding time. And people, like even my cousin, like it's hard to play games with him. He's got a kid. But yeah, at least playing it, like I said, it's fun playing Content Warning and Escape Simulator. Escape Simulator is a lot of fun. And then
that's an easy one to just kind of like pop in with one other person and do something really quick, or play for an hour or whatever.
Yeah, and it solves it. I got like a puzzle itch, and I'm like, oh, I like solving puzzles, trying to get out of stuff, yada yada, and that's fun to play. But yeah. All right. Well, I don't have any other notes. So I guess we can just go ahead and wrap it up then. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. I want to make sure I took all my notes down in the proper list on my phone. Don't actually put it into a different bit. But yep, that's everything.
I should actually make like a list in one place rather than just kind of like scattering things throughout all of my different devices.
Yeah. Gotta make sure you keep it together. Yeah, it's funny. I was when I was looking for my like a compressor for, hopefully I'll have to hear how it sounds when I edit this episode. But I was like, okay, I got to install the compressor for Elgato on my Stream Deck, and then I noticed, like, I guess because the Fallout came out, they have like this like Pip-Boy voice thing. It has like all these different voices. One of them's like, I'm a radio announcer in Fallout, but it has like this weird static in the background. And there's all these other ones that are so odd. I'll turn that off. But it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. But like when I listen to them, I'm like, so many of these are so weird because like it's just reverb on your voice in some of them, and then it's like, oh, radiation sounds, like Geiger counter sounds, and then also like Pip-Boy fuzz. I'm like the announcer one, I guess, is fine, but the other ones are like, they're so weird. Like, oh, sound like a ghoul. I'm like, you don't sound like a ghoul here. It's like, it's just weird effects. When I'm like, okay, but yeah, because it's like, I wish there was more voice changer mods on Stream Deck that weren't linked to some like there's a one called like voice mod, but it's like I did that for a bit, but like the way they do that is like, oh, you get like 5 free voice mods that rotate like daily, and if you want the other mods you have to pay like some money for it, but I don't know if it's like a one-time unlock. I think it's a fee. I'm like, because there are some mods I would love to have.
Oh, like a subscription thing.
Yeah, it's like a subscription to it, and I'm like,
Ooh.
yeah, because there's voice mods I'd like, but I'm like, there's no good, oh, here's a one-time, payment for these voice mods. I mean, there could be, perhaps I just didn't notice any when I was trying to dig around for it, but anyways, it was just like weird stuff. But
do you have like the ability to install like third-party kind of ones or like add-ons or something? Like if you find something on Gumroad or Ko-fi or something of a voice mod that somebody made, you pay like a one-time fee for that and install it?
You probably could, and then I guess in order to link it to, I just don't know how you would turn it, like, because the voice mod one, at least it has like a Elgato integration, so you can like Stream Deck integration, so you can put like different things on buttons and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Versus like, I guess if you did it the other route, it would be like an app outside of your Stream Deck. So unless there's an easy way to like run a script on a button, it'd be like, oh, you just have to have the extra window open, and it's like route your audio through that, and then whenever you hit the button, it does the effect or whatever you want. But versus just having the ease of use of it being on the Stream Deck, which is what's nice. But anyways, all right, well, we can go ahead and wrap it up there. Hopefully, we'll get some more, better news this week or something, or he can come back and have some more conversation about, well, he wouldn't have been playing anything this week anyways if he was here because he's been out of town, but hopefully he plays some anyways. All right, well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. So thank you all for tuning and listening. Thank you, Zaya, for joining. And we'll see you all next time.